Moved to open police commission meeting.
I'll second.
Well, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you want to take? Do you
Roll
need to take a
call?
roll, do you need to take a roll call? I don't know.
Councilman Dennis Troy,
Present.
Councilman Tom Divany, Councilman Paul Valentine,
Here.
Councilman Jerry Vicari. Here. Supervisor Teresa Kennedy.
Here. Okay, chief, you're up.
Supervisor, town board members, I gave you two documents tonight. The first one is the monthly and yearly summary for 2020 and for December. We went over the financial part last month because that was completed already. If you have any questions to go through it, I wanted to go over where we're at with the police reform and reinvention plan. I gave you a copy of a draft that we put together in the police department based on the meetings we've had and some of the stuff that we've done since the governor put out this mandate last year. So we've been kind of working on it. A lot of it is training stuff that we were able to start early on. It's pretty much a summary of what's been done, what's being required. Certainly there is other areas that we're going to add to the final report when we get to that. But this is stuff that I think will be helpful to you as a board in getting prepared to see a final document when we get to that point. If you look, actually Mr. Troy had mentioned to me earlier, he just saw that somebody had mentioned one of the people that handles this reform for the state said only about 25% of departments in the state are accredited, which we are one of those, which I think is we talked about that at the last police commission meeting. And I think that's very important in this process to help us to make sure that we're doing what we should be doing and expand what we're doing to assist our community and the members of our community as needed. At the inside, there is a table of contents to kind of help you go through some of the areas that we did cover. It'll help a little bit. If you go right down, I'm just going to touch very briefly on it, but some of the mandated reforms are civil penalties for falsely reporting a member that is of a protected class. That's something that came out that would cover something that somebody calls and basically reports that somebody's suspicious or whatever, doing something wrong, and they're in a protected class, and that's basically the only reason that they're doing it. So they don't like a certain group or person that's in their area, and they call the police. That is now a crime, made a crime in New York State. We've conducted some training on that to assist our officers to understand that. It's helpful for us, though, too, with our dispatchers, because they get the calls, and they now need to know that they need to ask further information from somebody if they do kind of report something along those lines. Sometimes people aren't intentionally doing that. You ask a few more questions, you realize there is something wrong that's going on, and they need to be looked at. But if you were to have a call and you say something that appears like it is in violation of this, and we don't look further into it, then the person could be putting themselves into some type of jeopardy. So the goal here is to protect people of the protected classes.
Do they define the protected class?
I'm sorry?
Is the protected class defined?
It is. I don't have it included here, but it is. I don't want to give it. I don't have all of the protected class, but it has to do with race, religion, and some other things. I don't want to omit something there. Require the reporting of police acts or omissions resulting in a person's death to the Office of Special Investigation. That is something that we've done. We've explained to our officers. What happened prior to just recently is it was the district attorney's responsibility to notify the attorney general of this. They've changed it that now it's the police department's responsibility to notify the attorney general of anything that falls into these violations, I shouldn't say violations, not violations, these acts that were committed. Whether or not they were appropriate or not, the attorney general now will be charged with investigating those. Require police officers to report the discharge of weapons. We've always had that in our policy, and our agency's in compliance with it, but they codified it at the state level that, now, they have to do within a certain amount of time. They have to make certain reports. Banning of chokeholds. I went over this last month as well, but we're in compliance with it. We one thing that we have never, in all of my time, I've never been instructed on how to use it, to utilize a chokehold. So we did codify to make sure our general orders and that were in compliance with the state, and it was actually an accreditation standard that was changed to make sure that we do that. Require a medical response for arrestees. With that, we had to change one of our general orders, so we have a new process on how we handle that. Not that we weren't doing it, but we had to put it in a general order to explain, for what people needed to do it. And you have to provide reasonable and good faith medical assistance. I actually went over that with Mr. Magrino when we put that procedure out as well. He assisted us with that. Require policing statistics to be reported to the Division of Criminal Justice. We've always been in compliance with that. We do those reports through e-justice. That's how the state gets notified of it. Recording of law enforcement activity, it's something that we have put out. It's a law that they codified in New York State as well, that if a private citizen a private civilian is recording the police activities, it's now, I never thought that we were allowed to take somebody's stuff when they were doing that, but they've made it part of the policy and of the state of New York that you can not take, somebody's private property if they're filming the police. But we gave instruction on that to the officers just to make sure that they, they understand those. It's never a bad idea to reinforce that, but we've never made that one of our practices to take people's recordings. Duty to intervene, we did talk about that last month as well. We've complied with this duty to intervene through the New York State accreditation standard. We also took guidance from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services model policy and amending our use of force general policy, which we're just finishing up. Actually, I went through it with some of the people in the department that, to get their thoughts on that, and we'll be putting that out shortly. And once that gets done, we will be, we do have our current use of force policy is posted as per state mandate, but we will replace it with the newer policy that is in conformance with all this. For training, we updated our use of force training. We expanded our in-service use of force training to include de-escalation and improve upon our use of force tactics. All training is in compliance with the New York State use of force model policy. We updated de-escalation training that's being done through the police academy, and we do bring it into our use of force as well. When we have training, it's being we try and get de-escalation into as many different types of training that we have, whether it's on how to deal with an interaction on the street, whether it's arresting somebody. We try and bring that training into all these areas as much as possible. If you look at the next one, communication, it is something we have done for a number of years, but we have a program that we have that assists us if we have difficulty speaking to somebody on the phone, or if we're at a call and they're having trouble speaking to somebody with a different language. We can call this hotline and they interpret for us. It's a service that we've done for a long time, right? Probably.
Ever since we got 911.
Yeah, so it's been something that we do. When we do utilize it once in a while, it's needed, but like I said, sometimes even out in the field, we can call in and they can connect us with the group and they'll translate for us, so it does help us with that. What we did, and actually it was another one that we discussed with Mr. Magrino last year, actually in 2019, the governor's group had come out saying that they didn't feel that putting mug shots and stuff was a good idea because people are only being charged with the crime. So what we did at that time is we took all our mug shots off of our social media, and we haven't been doing it since. The only time we would do it, and this was included in the governor's guidance as well, was that if there's an overriding concern for public safety, whether it's somebody that is wanted or if it was such a noteworthy case that you might want to put it out there, that there could be other, I'll give an example. If it was somebody who may have been committing acts against children or something, and you don't know if you get, you want to put that message out that maybe others can come forward or something, that would be a reason why you would not have any problem with it. So it's not against the law to have the photos out, but we've changed our policy in doing that. Diversity on our police force. Diversity entails other characteristics as well as including religion, language, life experience, sexual orientation, and other cultural background. If you look at our write-up there, it's, we certainly follow all mandates from New York State Civil Service and the Rockland County Department of Personnel on hiring and promotions. The police exam's given every 4 years. The one that was supposed to be given in 20 is now being moved. We're hopeful that it's going to be given in the spring, but we did participate in some county recruitment. We did create our own. I don't know if you saw our Facebook, we had it in 4 different languages every day for about the last 2 weeks prior to the exam. We had put it out about a month prior to the exam. We did send these flyers to, if you look in there, I just want to get the number right, distributed to 56 houses of worship throughout the town of Orangetown, the local businesses, the libraries, town and village halls, volunteer fire services and medical and emergency medical services, and we had it on the town social media as well as the police departments. And we're looking forward. We're hoping that maybe some of the people in the committee and some of their ideas can help us for the 2024 exam as well. I don't know how the county is going to handle the 2020 exam. I believe what they did was froze the people that applied to that, so that's just going to get carried to when they give the exam. I don't believe they're going to reopen applications for that. So I believe that recruitment to get more people to take that exam that is probably going to be given in the fall, in the spring, recruitment for that isn't going to help. But we did do a lot. If you see, we do have records of what we did as a department, trying to get the message out to some of our areas that aren't usually represented well in the department that we have. So you have to take the exam.
Chief, is that decision about not opening up to new people, is that a local personnel, Rockland County personnel decision, or do you know if it comes
I
from?
believe it's Rockland County personnel decision. And I haven't gotten official word on that yet, but that's what I
Okay.
believe how they're handling it. Because we haven't got official word that they're going to give the
Right,
exam
right,
in the
right.
spring yet anyway, so until they come out with that.
Chief, how long do they usually give you to prepare for the exam? Or is there like,
I believe they usually post it about 2 months prior,
2 months?
to file for the exam, 2 to 3 months prior. But it's a cycle that they're on. Like, we know the next one, other than what happened this year, we know the next one is in 2024. So they know that the exam's going to be in 2024 now. But actually signing up, it's usually anywhere from about 3 to 5 months before the exam that they announce it, and they give a period of time to sign up for it. And I believe they have some type of a standard that they need to, it has to be posted for X
Right, so
amount
much
of
time.
time and stuff like that. So, but the county personnel handles all of that. Increase the police department's procedural justice and diversity training. The Rockland County Police Academy, in our 2021 annual in-service training will provide DCJS certification for procedural justice for all officers who complete this block of instruction, which is something that we will be sending all of our officers to. And we actually, I believe it's 2 officers we have trained to be instructors as well in procedural justice. So we have sent them this past year to get that training to be instructors. Public and community relations, electronic outreach. We're trying to provide as much information as we can on our media platforms. Currently, the community can find a method of communicating with the police department in the way that they feel most comfortable. The community can call the police department, email the department. In non-emergency communication, they can send a Facebook message. Some people we have an automatic message to them. We'll send something about, complaining about something that's happening at that moment. A message does pop up to them that they should call the police department because that's not monitored 24/7. They can also use, if they want to give information about criminal activity or such, they can send something to a confidential tip 411 initiative, and we included that on this, the link to that. We're involved with Hope Not Handcuffs. I know that was, when the supervisor was just coming in, we had the groundbreaking ceremony
Yep,
on that
that's
with
right.
the Hope Not Handcuffs. There's a lot of information on that. As far as how many people use it or not, that's not something we would ever keep statistics on, and that we're involved with, but people can contact them directly. We do post that from time to time on our social media to let people know, as well as we have it out here in the lobby on our monitor there. It goes through, so people, we would figure if people came to meetings or had court or such, they might be able to get some info if it would assist them. Drug court, one thing, just, I see a clerical error we missed. It says, since 2014, the Orangetown Judge Patrick Loftus has presided over the Rockland County. It's the Rockland County misdemeanor drug court that he's presided over. Not, there's a misdemeanor and a felony drug court, but that's we omitted the word there. But it shows Orangetown is heavily involved in these outreach and diversion projects throughout the county, and that's, the misdemeanor and felony drug court is for the entire county. So any of the cases that get sent on misdemeanors come to the town of Orangetown court to be handled by Judge Loftus. And it is a way to actually get all criminal charges dismissed if you comply with all the mandates that they put them through. And they've actually here, they've had their graduations here in Town Hall from time to time. And it's a pretty powerful program that they have when you see somebody that went through successfully and graduated and kind of have their, put their life back on track. Victims of domestic violence and sexual assault assistance, we just added information to our general orders just to make it more current. But we do work hand in hand with the Center for Safety and Change and the New York State Office of Victim Services. We have information there. The officers provide that to people who are involved in situations where it could assist them.
Chief, could I just go back for a sec on this?
Absolutely.
On this section here, we have the drug court. Now, is youth court something that should be included there, or something that?
Of course. Absolutely should. I don't think we have it somewhere else, but it definitely
Okay.
should be.
Okay. I mean, it seems like it fits in with those other programs, but
I'm actually
one of my
right there,
favorite
probably.
programs that
Dare.
we had, so.
I'm sorry?
No, that was.
No, I just said, yeah, Dare.
Yeah, Dare and that, so there is other, but like I said, this is kind of a working document.
Yeah,
here
yeah, no,
That
no.
we, but I appreciate that, but we, that certainly will be included. I'm sorry?
Yeah, but
That's an outside.
I wouldn't, youth court is just something that, what's that? Well, yeah, but that's.
Actually, the Substance Abuse Committee probably could be part of some of the.
Well, these are kind of like what they call diversionary programs, so the youth court is like, instead of them going through the criminal justice system, they go to the youth court, right?
Transparency and accountability. As part of some of the meetings that we had, it was brought up by Pastor McLaughlin, actually, that, he felt that it wasn't as easily accessible if somebody wanted to make some type of complaint about it, an action and interaction with an officer. So the one thing we added to that process is that everything is on the website now, so they can get it without having to actually come first to the police department. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable, they can call us, they can email us, they can get the forms online, or they can come in directly. So we just tried to make that more accessible to us. And we actually also, which I think is very important as well, we did add a section if they wanted to commend an interaction that they had with officers as well, that we feel that we did see some other departments have those as well on their websites. We felt that was something that would be important as well. Police activities to.
Chief, I just got a question.
Of course.
Going forward, so if you get a complaint online and it's anonymous, how do you judge the credibility of the complaint? Or do you have to leave your name?
You don't have to leave your name. We could look into it. It would depend what the allegation is. We would always look into anything that somebody alleges, because
Okay.
it could be an issue, but it certainly, we would, the more information we have, the more we can get to.
I think you're gonna see more coming from the committee on recommendations for this too. I think this is just the
Okay.
first.
No, I'm just
I think the
saying-
chief was proactive. One of the things that became apparent was that, someone may not want to come into the police department, so they kind of jumped onto that immediately
Right.
to, you know.
No, it's great. The only thing is, it can be used to, you know, against an officer that you have a bone to pick with,
Yeah,
and
but it's like I said, we're lawyers.
Yeah.
We know what it's like. Someone,
Yeah.
you know, they go on, they can file a complaint against you like that.
Right.
It's just part
But
of
we
it.
would always look into it
No,
because
I'm
you'd
just-
never know if it's
And we know
legit
they're
till
all
you look at it.
false, so when you file
But-
against, you know.
But yeah, that's what we did, but it certainly would, you know, the more information you have when you
Yeah.
look into something, it's always, you know. Sometimes people do make complaints, and it actually, after they discuss it with a supervisor or whoever, they sometimes realize that what happened made sense
Okay.
or whatever. So it does, you know, the communication is always helpful, even for us. Sometimes we may think that originally that the action that we took was correct, but then we find out, you know what, maybe it wasn't, or maybe it was a training issue, or maybe we can get something that can better the department in the communication. So it's not always a negative thing or a negative, you know,
not saying
result.
that, it just. it's-
No, yeah, right, but I'm just saying, so it's always good to get the information.
Okay.
Police activities, this gets into kind of the FOIL process and how people can get the information. And also, we do, through our e-justice portal, we do send our reports monthly to the state, and they do, I believe it's the Part 1 crimes, right, Jim, that get posted yearly for the agencies that do send the info. The state, that site's on this as well.
I can tell you, the FOIL process is pretty good. You know, I did one today, you get an email back from the town after they process it immediately. So you,
What were you foiling?
building department records for a client of mine,
Yeah,
but
they did streamline that
they
process.
streamline it.
Yeah.
The thing is, at least you get an email back and you know that the town received it, so you have a paper trail, so you can say, I requested this FOIL on this date.
Right.
You know, like, a lot of people selling their houses want to make sure that they have no issues with violations and stuff, so they have me FOIL it beforehand,
Right.
so we can deal with it.
Right. So,
But-
yeah, it did.
So,
That was one of the things they actually did a lot of improvement on that with COVID to try and get, because people weren't able to come in, so they worked
Right.
with, I know,
I
with
think
IT and with the
really
records
good,
people
really
did. Yeah, to try and help people from not having to come in. They get a lot more foils now, though.
I
I'm
know,
finding
well, that's what
that-
happened when you open it up, yeah.
It's a lot easier, which is fine, that's, you know, it's what it's there for. Policies and procedures, I won't go through the accreditation that we discussed last month, but, you know, in summary, we've been accredited since 2007, and we continue that through today. Mental health and crisis intervention training and procedures. We look to continue and improve our professional working relationship with the Rock County Behavioral Health Response Team and the newly formed Children's Community Assistance Response and Endangerment Team to help provide non-police focused support to persons in crisis. And if you go to Appendix D, it just shows the Behavioral Health Response program. It explains that a little bit. And then Officer Wellness is the last section, and in that, we discussed the town's EAP and what the town has done to get this program for all employees of the town. But it is helpful. I know, you know, a couple of people that have actually told me that they've used it, and I'm sure there's many more that use it in, you know, confidentially, which is what it's there for. But it's an excellent program. And then just the appendix, I don't know how to say it, appendixes? They, you know, you just have them, that just corresponds with some of the earlier information that we had mentioned. Appendix B talks about some of the academy training that we have that Chris Stratner had talked about. C is our accreditation, and D is the behavioral health response group. So that's kind of in a nutshell what you have in
Can I
front
just
of you.
ask a quick question, which I don't know why I've never asked this before now, but just going through here. Does either the DCJS, if I'm saying that right, or the governor, is there anything about body cameras, good, bad, do, don't do?
I know in the past, when we've looked into it, the biggest issue by far was the cost. in-
Which the governor does acknowledge in his paperwork that
Yeah,
all of these things
it's-
may have a cost,
I
right?
mean, it's the cost, and there's a big cost in human resources in managing it and reviewing and things such as that. So there is a big thing there. So far, he hasn't mandated it on departments. I don't know if maybe lot of money being floating around in the
Yeah,
federal government,
yeah.
maybe
No,
that's.
I hadn't seen anything, I was
some
more
could come
curious
this
than
way.
anything.
But, you know, I would think, I know from talking to IT, I know the space, and I'm not, you know, good with that, with how much space is needed to
Right,
keep this
right, to
stuff.
keep it, yeah,
keep
I
it
know.
forever, and, you know, there's things
It's always
with
more
that.
complicated than you think.
Yeah, so, but that, right now, there hasn't been anything directed that you have to do it. But I don't know where, you know, I haven't heard anything coming down the pike in the short term.
Okay. Anybody have questions for the chief?
No?
Dennis has been involved in it.
No.
Just, we are on Facebook Live, so for anybody, on the 16th, we are having another public virtual meeting where the public can comment, you know, on what's happened so far. We have an April 1 deadline to have this board approve the plan. We're working diligently. And that's all I have.
I said it the last meeting, and I'll say it here, if it's on Facebook or whatever. You know, Teresa is supervisor, and the chief, Captain Shannon, and also Dick Whalen from the PBA. I'm very impressed with the meetings themselves, and I haven't necessarily gotten that feedback from, there's no negative feedback from a lot of the participants that have been in. There's been good questions, but to me, it's been very transparent, very open, and from my perspective, I'm proud of what OPD does here in this town.
Thank you.
And I will say, as somebody who has been involved around the town and with the police department since I started, I learned a lot. I had no idea, I didn't know about the behavioral response team, I didn't, you know, so it was very informative. For people who took the time to follow it, it was informative, so. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. So again, I just wanted to give you kind of, you know, the supervisor and I discussed it, he felt it would be a good idea to catch the town board up on kind of where we've gotten to this point.
I mean, there's not too many people from the public here, but does anybody want to speak on this, on the police reform at all? No? Okay, good.
Okay.
Perfect timing.
All right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn the
Captain.
police commission.
Thank you. A second.